Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one, the only Jasmy crypto. Now, listen, it's been some time, so we are going to dive into a deep analysis video. We can see that over the last few weeks, it has been just consistent structure to the downside. And when we go look at it, it is not a surprise. We can see we have been pretty much creating lower and lower and lower, consistent lower and lower weekly highs. Okay. We could just see visually, right? If we take away all the mess, all the clutter, do something like this, take away the wicks, right? It's clear as day that, you know, this blue over here is not as high as this blue. This blue is not as high as this blue. This one is not as high as this one, or this one, right? And it just continues. It's been like this for many, many weeks, right? Pretty much since mid-August. And we can see, we have dropped a good amount since mid-August, roughly 60%. And we are actually entering critical zones right now. Now, the good thing is that we are closer to the end of the year than further. So, we just have to survive a little bit. Now, you might be confused, right? You might be confused and wondering, what the hell am I talking about? What I'm talking about is that we need to create a higher low on the yearly. We can see in 2022, we have this bottom over here. And right now we are at 0.00667. And if we were to hypothetically close right now, we would be forming a higher low on the yearly. Now you might think, is it that important? Yes. Yes, the yearly candle is the most important candle for everything. It's just how it works, right? And then eventually, obviously, as time passes on, hundreds of years later, there'll be like a decade candle, and that's going to be like the most important. But as of right now, the yearly candles matter the most. And this might be demotivating, but technically, if we do form a higher low on the yearly, then we should be seeing Jasmy, at least at the bare minimum, take over this yearly high. And if we go and look at something like the wicks, we could see Jasmy at the bare minimum go back up to 6 cents, which would be a roughly 10x just from here. Right now, obviously, we want to go higher, and I do believe overall in the Jasmy project, but that is what we're looking at right now, and that is what we're dealing with. Like I said, luckily for us, there's roughly 20 to 21 days left for December. So we just have to hold on tight. We cannot sell too low. We cannot afford to be entering, very, very critical zones. And like I said, closing below this zone over here of boom, 0.003893, right? We cannot afford to close there, which would be a big drop for us, right? Which would be a big drop for us. That would be another 40%. So I do think we are going to be fine. As of right now, when we go and look at the weekly, we still have no confirmation of any reversals. If the weekly candle were to close like this, then I would expect at least another sell candle to the downside. We can see every time we get a weak bullish candle, the next week sells off. And again, if we get a weak bullish candle, the next week will sell off. And it's just been like this for time, right? We get a very weak bullish candle, we sold off massively. So just expect that. I would expect for this low to get targeted over here of 0.005843. If we don't target it by the end of December, then we will most likely take it out in the beginning of January, manipulation, and then we will start the reversals. Yes, I do believe there's going to be reversals for Jasmy, and I overall am very, very bullish on the whole entire altcoin season in 2026. I'm not just saying that because, 2026 is the next year, but based off certain data, when I look at it, I genuinely believe altcoins will pump and flourish in 2026, most likely between quarter two and quarter three. And then we will have very, very nice gains. And after that pump is when the official bear season will start. Now, of course, that is some time away. So, at the end of the day, we still have to wait a little bit. And yeah, that is it when it comes to the current market structure. Like I said, very, very bearish overall, even on the daily, right? On the daily, we are kind of struggling. We have these moments or these zones over here that were consistently forming lower and lower highs, lower and lower and lower lows. So we are just staircasing downwards, right? It's clear as day we are staircasing downwards. We will be monitoring something like Bitcoin to see how Bitcoin reacts. If Bitcoin rejects fairly good today and pushes itself up very nicely, then you know what? The narrative will change. But Bitcoin is kind of in trouble because we are once again forming lower and lower highs on Bitcoin, which is not a good sign. It's usually the start of a reversal. And if that's going to be the case, we could see Bitcoin dumping back down to the low 80Ks, which of course would affect something like Jasmy. And like I said right now, at this current moment, the weekly candle for Jasmy does not look healthy at all. If we were to close this way this week, all right, what would I expect? Well, I probably expect one final tap in before the dump. So if we were to close like this somewhere down here, I would probably expect one final pullback before we really sell off once again, right? So that is what I currently expect. Now, where do I think Jasmy is going to go in 2026? Well, like I said, I believe at the bare minimum, bare minimum, we should be hitting upwards of 6 cents, right? Because that would be taking out the 2024 highs. We also would be taking out the 2025 highs. And you know what? We also do have a very nice monthly order block. So we could be seeing upwards of 8 cents very easily, in my personal opinion. Now, when we go to something like Coin Market Cap and we go to something like Jasmy, we can see Jasmy's rank 125 out of 9,997 active cryptos listed on all the big boy exchanges. 335 million market cap, so it's very respectable. I still believe personally Jasmy could be hitting upwards of 10 billion market cap, which would be a 30x, which would be roughly that 20-cent mark. Some people might think that's too high, and that's fair. That's fair to think that. But I do think in the peak of altcoin season, and in the peak of money coming in crypto and the bandwagon, I think we can definitely spike to 10 billion market cap, which would be a 30x from here. We can see the holders, right? It finally unglitched, are growing though, right? They are growing, and thank God it finally showed. I don't know, it's been a very long time, and we can see 97,418 holders, and then we grew a couple over the last day. Look, we're almost at 100,000 holders. There's a reason why people believe and hold onto this project, because they do believe it is going to do well. But yeah, that is going to be it though. We can see over the last month, we have dropped down 32%. We have dropped down 6% in the last week, and over the last day, we've dropped down 7%. So yeah, we dropped down a good amount, but we're still holding a great ranking. So, there's a reason why, like I said, people believe in this project, and there's a reason why people still believe that Jasmy is going to do very well this altcoin season. That is it though, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.